Those mad lads have done it. And by mad lads, I mean all the people who protested. And by have done it, I mean that Mordekaiser's exalted skin was actually reworked. But what's more fascinating than that is that we are talking about a lot of changes, which... just look at how quickly they were made. So yes, if you want a miracle to happen, attack a corporation where it hurts them the most, in their vault. This is something that literally just got proven on the latest PBE, where Atakan got some cool new voice lines, which also led into Mordekaiser kinda casually getting 2 more skins slapped onto his exalted skin. A feat which I did not expect would happen. At least not with the pace Riot is usually acting. But here we are. Now at first glance, it should be obvious that the changes that were made were massive. And I can already tell you, this looks good. But it wouldn't mean much if we didn't compare it to what we've had before. So, last time on Dragon Ball Z, we got an exalted skin for Mordekaiser, which of course means it has the estimated value of $200, where the skin may have been canon Mordekaiser known as San Uzal, but it definitely didn't feel like Mordekaiser or San Uzal. For that skin specifically, it felt like the rule of cool was missing. Which would especially be the case here, because usually Mordekaiser is about big, bulky armor. So to strip him of the metallic essence would essentially give us a guy. Now here's the thing, during the ultimate, the old version of the skin actually started to look cool. But that was up only for a little bit before it disappeared. My original criticism was that should have been the base version of the skin. All the other features should have been built on top of that. Because here's the thing, the old version of the skin actually evolved with kills, with the catch being that all the changes were really tiny, with his mace being the only thing that actually changed. So there was virtually nothing going on. The cherry on top of that is that when it comes to the animations, a lot of them were new, with the majority of them being very similar to the old version, with only like 1 or 2 being actually unique. Which again means it didn't really feel like the skin had new animations. And well, it turns out that after all of this feedback, Riot looked at it all and they cooked in record time. Because now this skin actually has 3 separate versions. Meaning that Riot cooked up 2 more skins and slapped them on top of the already existing exalted skin. How is this possible in a month? I have no idea. Because usually we wait for like a half a year for a change. However, don't be entirely fooled, because while what you can see here is really good, there is a lot of clever trickery behind this. Which, to be fair, who really cares as long as the result looks good? So let's start with the first and the biggest change. This skin actually has different forms now. And what's more surprising is that what used to be the biggest laughingstock before might have turned into my favorite version of San Uzal. Because the base version was turned from a naked barbarian into an actual barbaric warlord. Here, the new mace looks brutal. They reused one of the shoulder pads, but they of course recolored it to look more iron. But they modeled an entire separate shoulder pad for the other side. And there they even impaled a skull on it, so it really looks different. The cloak was also entirely retextured and now it has elements of fur. But most importantly, he actually has pants now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, they've done it. The diaper Mordekaiser is gone. And it actually looks really good too. But that's not where all of this ends. Because we also have entirely new sound effects. And now when he bonks you, oh boy, he bonks you. The passive, as well as all the other spells, now also have entirely new color scheme, which matches the dark iron look, but it also has the blue runes, which evoke the Death Realm. Before, everything was always just gold. Speaking of which, yeah, I understand that the gold was a lot more canonical, because now we know that the old Noxai tribes actually had a connection to the ancient Targon. But let's be honest, the old golden look didn't really feel like Mordekaiser. Another important thing here is that the fur on his shoulders also has physics now. Before, it was just a static mesh, but now it moves with his movement. After which there is another big one. His Q has a totally new animation. That's not even a bonk anymore, he's just hammering a nail. Also, a funny detail here is that in the old version, the Q didn't even have updated VFX, meaning the outline of the mace was just the mace of a classic Mordekaiser. Now it is actually an outline of the new mace. Now, his W is very similar to the old version, but again, because of the new color scheme, it actually looks like it fits. And finally, his E also has those dark iron chains with the claw. Before, it was always gold, and it only really changed the number of chains with the evolutions. So again, it's like nothing really happened. Now, it does look different. Which takes us to the ultimate. You see, the form in his ultimate is actually the dark version we saw at the beginning. And here I have to say, it looks really good. It is basically a dark, fiery version of badass Mordekaiser as we would expect. Now sure, we could say that this version of Mordekaiser is not really that canonical, because Mordekaiser's Mitnaraknun is more blue, and the Hall of Bones he believed in might have been golder. But now, with the black and red, it would fit more of the Volraknun, which is the wolf's death realm, which Noxians believe in now. So you know what, at least I can't say it is entirely made up. It fits something in the lore, just not something that fits the Mordekaiser. And I'll leave it at that. Because truth be told, it still looks good. And it is part of some really big trickery. You see, this entire model, besides the new mask and some minor details on the armor, including hands, everything is identical to the old model. It is all literally just recolored textures. Does that really matter? Not to me. What does matter is whether it looks good, and again, I think it does. And yes, I do believe that is the reason why Riot was able to make these changes so quickly. It's because under the hood, sure, they made a new shoulder pad for the first version, they made a new face mask, but the rest are just recolors of the previous models, including recolors for the spell effects. The downside is that the textures weren't polished that much. You can notice some rougher edges where the red runes weren't really blended in, but again, this is for the ultimate, and that form shouldn't be up for too long. So, I am willing to take this trade-off. Another cool thing is that after a kill, there is a cool theme that plays. But that takes us to the second form. And here I have to give Riot some massive credits. Because they actually did what I complained about last time. They turned the ultimate version of the last skin into just the base version of the new skin. That's right, technically the old naked version of this skin is just gone, it's not being used for anything, besides being retextured for the new basic form. However, it's not like Riot slapped the old ultimate skin onto the new base version and called it a day. No, there are quite a few improvements here too. For example, again, a lot of the armor pieces now have physics. But the fur on the shoulders also has fiery VFX. It looks like it is on fire now. You can also see that the entire body is now armored, including his biceps, thighs, and hands. Previously, all of these remained exposed. Also, all the new animations apply here too. This includes the new Q, the W, which looks extra crispy because it is the old ultimate version, and his E, which is again the fully evolved version of the old one. And of course, the ultimate is the same, which means it is really good. Although, in the evolved form, the ultimate doesn't take us to the Reckoning fields, but instead it takes us to the Reckoning arenas. Now, unfortunately, the music after a kill is still the same, but now Mordekaiser's theme also plays for everyone after a pentakill. I am not exactly sure if that was the case before. And that is kinda the entire package we are getting. So, let's break it all down. If you go and look for outside opinions, you'll see that everyone agrees. Which is funny, because just like before, everyone agreed that the skin was not good, now everyone is aligned again, but in a bit more positive direction. Mainly, everyone agrees that this is a big improvement. No matter if you believe that it is just better or if it is amazing now, everyone simply knows that this is something people might get interested in now. However, everyone also agrees that while this is a really good skin now, the price is still too much. For an ultimate skin, hell yeah, people would dive in. As an exalted skin for $200, yeah, people are still not convinced. But this was the case for all the other exalted skins too, so there's no point in debating it again. We all know the gacha is not going away. And we know that all the prices are very artificial. So all of you will have to make your own decisions whether you actually wanna try and buy it. I mean, we've learned that for Riot these skins work, and they seem to be the primary way Riot is funding League these days, because people don't really buy normal skins anymore. So I understand why this exists, but I also understand that this price is way too high for normal people. So people agreeing on the fact that this is a good skin, that is also still very overpriced, is just about the most normie take you will find. And so, here we are. Another exalted skin dropped, albeit after a big rework. But still, it is an exalted skin, and so, in truth, it's kinda like nothing really happened.